Joining today from the Department of Ag, Trade, Consumer Protection, it's Michael. He's back. He came back. I'm very happy that you're back here in person today, as we're going to be taking on cybersecurity. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and we talk about different cybersecurity issues throughout the year. And I asked you before we start, what's this year's theme, and you said secure our world.
Well, Secure Our World is kind of focusing on the growing presence that technology has and all the different things that we do in our daily lives that involve technology, especially computers, phones, things like that. So it's recognizing that footprint and all the things that we need to do to protect ourselves.
First one on the list here is update your software. And I was thinking about this, that there was a time where seemed like it was a bad idea to update your software. And I've got to say, in the last 5 years, there's been a real big shift about, no. You want to update it.
Right. And we used to get those pop-ups that would say update your software, and that was the risk and how you were potentially letting scammers in. What we're doing, and companies have evolved to address that. So now a couple things you can do: turn on your automatic updates so that it does it in the background. You don't have to worry about it. It's trusted and it happens, and another one is to take a few minutes to look at what the risks are that you might have if you are going to update. You want to make sure you're understanding what it is you are clicking yes to install, but it is important to recognize what those are doing for you, and that is keeping it up to date on all the new things that those apps or companies are recognizing as risks and protecting you from them.
Yeah, if you really read into, most of them do say some type of security thing now, at least for the ones that I'm updating, that it's always a constant security, something. It's not just those bug fixes or, hey, we're trying something new on you. It's just changing, ever changing technology there.
Well, it is, and every time you see a change, you're going to have somebody else who's trying to hack into that change or break it down or break the code, and so it's that back and forth battle, which is why you need the updates to keep yourself protected.
Another area that's definitely become, I think, more out in the open is passwords, but how crazy the password is. And I love now the strong password. Yeah. When that comes up and it's like 25 letters, I'm like, How am I supposed to remember this?
Well, there's two things to do. One is you're probably never going to remember it unless you are, a savant and can figure that out. But what you can do is get a password manager that will save all of those for you. A lot of the operating systems on phones and even computers will have software that will do that. Those can be a good thing because it helps you keep a secure password. Of course, then that is all stored in one place on that device, so small risk that comes with it. The other is we start talking about passphrases versus passwords. And in those passphrases, you also can make it even more secure by changing up some of the characters, like an S becomes a $sign or a 1 becomes an exclamation mark. Things like that to help you remember what that phrase is, but then also changing them up.
I'm loving doing this now. Like, totally took the advice a couple of interviews ago on this, and I'm working and not saying anything on passwords, but doing helpful phrases that you would only know, or just things that are like, oh yeah, now like anytime I do pass, I'm like, I've got it. Like you can get really creative, and that's kind of the beauty behind this now, is stop thinking of the normal, your easy whatever, putting something together that's phrase-based seems to be a better way, and you can mix it up so many different ways, as mentioned.
That's just that you can mix them up, and you can even make them relevant to what it is that you're doing. So if you got your banking and you're in there, you come up with a password that helps you remember something to do with money, or if you're traveling, something to do with flying. Anything that helps you trigger what that phrase might be.
But definitely don't spread, though, or use the same one between all accounts.
We've always seen, on the talk shows, they would always go out on the street and have you guess your passwords, and everyone has password 123 or password 1, and we use them all over. And as you mentioned earlier, it's hard to remember all of them because we have so many different devices and so many different passwords to enter throughout the day. But that's why these phrases can be helpful, and you can make them applicable to whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, surprisingly easier than you think. So I'm telling you, I'm a guy who can't remember anything from anything. And then last time I couldn't remember your name. Yeah, it definitely works. Turning on multi-factor authentication, also a game changer, I think, in the whole scheme of security.
It is, and for those who don't know, multi-factor authentication is that secondary level of security in which you're entering your password, and then it says, we're going to send you a code to your phone or your email, and then you enter that code. And while it may seem like an inconvenience, I mean, it adds so many levels of protection, and it really only takes, 5 seconds, 10 seconds? You know, yeah, you have to have both devices with you, but really keeps your information private.
It just feels good, like, to know, like, I just had signed into a device that I had not done in a while, and that's just so nice to, like, nope, we're going to need you to verify that. And I was like, dang, that's really cool. Like, it's great.
And it's great that you don't have to remember. Like, they're sending you a code that you have to enter, so it's not putting a burden on us to have to keep that private.
Love it. Next one, phishing, my favorite. No, it's not that one. Okay. Phishing, recognizing attempts in phishing and reporting them. Two things that should go hand in hand because we are constantly getting bombarded with phishing scams, but do we report them?
Probably not.
No.
We absolutely want you to, though. The phishing scams. And, you know, and you're actually not that far off by casting a line out there because that really is what they're doing electronically. They're putting that bait out there in an email or in a text message to get you to grab the hook by clicking or following that link. And then that's where you're potentially compromising your machine, or you're going to start getting into that ruse and giving information that you really don't want to give.
And it comes in so many different forms, as you mentioned, and that's the part I think for recognizing phishing scams in general, what is that general theme to you when you hear that? Just trying to be aware of that and identifying that this is a phishing scam.
Well, I think the general theme is an unsolicited request for your information or some type of private security password, banking information, things like that. All of those things that really are odd. They kind of like, well, why would you be asking me for this? As we've seen, so many companies and so many banks and things will tell you, we'll never ask you for your password. We'll never ask you for this. So knowing that, and when you get something like this, that's the big red flag. Well,
and I like that. I think I did not know what phishing scams meant. No clue until starting doing the interview with you guys years ago. I think that needs to be the emphasis in understanding this, is knowing what equals a phishing scam. Because people are like, I get scammed all day long. I don't really care what that means. But if you kind of know the meaning behind it, like, oh, that's a phishing scam, like, I think it's a better awareness to tie something to it, as you have done here.
And to emphasize the point that you're making, 90% of cyber attacks all start with a phishing scam.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about personal, but also business, a lot of cyber attacks and data breaches at businesses start with a phishing scam in which an employee inadvertently responds to an email or clicks on a link.
So this wraps up with the governor putting on Cybersecurity Summit, but more importantly, just at the end of the day, Department of Trade and Consumer Protection just wants you to just think ahead here. Be cybersecurity ready.
We do. In Green Bay, October 23rd through 25th, they're having the Governor's Summit on cybersecurity, and everyone's encouraged to maybe attend if you can. Otherwise, certainly go to our website, datcp.wi.gov. We have a lot of resources to illustrate what we're talking about here today and a little bit more on how to protect yourself.
All right. Happy Cybersecurity Month. Take some steps here that Michael has shared with you, or just check out the website because you got a lot of good resources there, and definitely highlights everything that's talked about here and keeping up to date on these forever changing cybersecurity issues.
Stay alert, stay protected.
Oh my gosh, I want that t-shirt.
We'll get one.